Okay, good evening, and welcome to this month's edition of Monthly Minutes with Monroe. And tonight we are going to spend just a few minutes with you, talking to our parents to share with them successful test taking strategies and tips as we enter the Smarter Balance assessment season. Our guests tonight are our building principals who actually delivered this presentation earlier this month. And we did have a number of parents who were not able to make it. I think we had some really bad weather that evening, but a number of parents requested whether or not we would present again. And so tonight is that opportunity. We are again recording this particular month's session, and we will make the session available to parents who may have missed this evening as well. Following this evening's presentation, if time permits and parents have questions, we will allow for that. And we will also ask the principals to feel free to share any updates that they may have from each campus. That said, I am going to turn it over to our principals, and welcome to all of you. We have Principal Green, we have Principal Johnson, and Principal Jacoby, all three of them with us this evening. Principal Green, welcome. I'm going to turn it over to you, I guess, because I think you are starting the slide process for us. So thank you and welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Principal Green, the principal at Josh Smart, the STEM-based middle school, for those of you who may not know. This evening, we are going to be going through a few different things related to testing. So we'll give you some overall tips and strategies, focusing on reading, then math, and talk about some additional resources. So what is SBA? So SBA is a Smarter Balance Assessment. It is a state assessment that is given throughout the state of Connecticut to all scholars. It is given in the grades 3 through 8. So here at Jamoki Academy, as early as 3rd grade, our scholars start taking the test at the elementary school, and it goes all the way through till 8th grade. This is in reading and math that they take that assessment. And then they also have a science piece that is the next generation science standards. And that is given to 5th graders and 8th graders in our district. And then again, when scholars are in high school in 11th grade, they will take that assessment a 3rd time. So again, reading and math is tested grades 3 through 8, and science is tested here at Jamoki in grades 5 and 8. What to expect when scholars test. So we put a lot of focus in this throughout the year. As early as February, all of our schools related to the scholars that actually test, we've been doing crunch time plans, which means that we have been focusing in on priority standards, ensuring that we're covering all the topics that could possibly be on this assessment. The assessment is an assessment that is given computerized. It has different pieces to it. You can see here that there are certain time components to it. It is an assessment that does not have one designated time, however, so scholars can work at their own pace is what we encourage. The timeframes that you see as examples, this is what we typically frame our testing windows around. However, we do have makeup sessions where scholars are given an opportunity to complete an assessment if they do not finish it. The ELA assessment test components of reading, listening, and writing an inquiry. And for the math assessment, it is given in 2 pieces, which is a computerized assessment that does general topics for that grade level, as well as a performance task piece, which is truly a real life assessment. So it may say you're having a party, and then it tells you how many people may be there. And then scholars need to use the information that they know based on that grade level to actually complete the task related to what that test looks like. In all of our schools, it's really important for you to know that we do a full shutdown when testing does occur. So in our morning sessions, it's a very structured environment where scholars are there. They know they're coming in. We provide them with a snack, and we're able to, make sure that they understand the expectations around testing. There's training that happens with staff to ensure that everybody throughout the district is getting the same experience when they take the assessment. When we talk about the scores, one of the most important parts for parents, in the fall, you will get the testing scores from the previous year. So the assessment that scholars are taking this spring, in the fall, you will get those assessment results. Here is an example of what the reading scores look like. So you can see here, you as a parent will get a report like this that shows the overall achievement of your scholar. Similar to standard-based grading, we're looking at level 4, 3, 2, and 1. You can see here, if you look over on the chart for this 5th grade example, a level 4 means that they're exceeding the grade level standard. A 3 means that they're meeting it. Level 2 is approaching, and level 1 is not meeting the standard. When you receive your report, that yellow arrow will signify where your scholar has fallen in the score range, as well as giving you what the school average is and the district average. And then it does give you some anecdotes that speak to what they're making progress towards, like things, how does their actual assessment look? And this is data that the school uses in the upcoming year to continue to support scholars and meet all of their needs. The math assessment is similar to it. You'll get a report that looks similar, showing the different concepts that are tested as well, communicating and reasoning, problem solving and modeling. All of these are different pieces that are assessed on the math assessment as well. And again, just like we prepare our scholars with instruction and crunch time, we also throughout the year use intern block assessments, which are assessments that mimic the state assessment. So we have different windows where we are providing scholars that exact practice so that they know and understand what the assessments will look like. And again, we start this at 3rd grade and it works all the way up throughout the school years. Some additional tips and resources. Please make sure that your scholar stays on schedule. That's a really big one. Our testing window at Jamoki Academy will be opening up on April 22nd. So that is a week after we return from spring break. So it's really important that you'll have spring break, right? Returning from spring break, we want to make sure scholars are back on schedule, back having a routine, making sure that they're prepared and ready. We typically take that week before testing to make sure we're prepping them. We'll have a spirit week. We're going to celebrate. We're going to prepare. We're going to be ready for testing, encouraging them. So we want to make sure that you as parents know that it's important that they get back to that school schedule, right? Making sure they're getting to bed at a decent time, waking up on time, making sure that they're having a breakfast. And if not, that they're getting to school early enough to have breakfast at school. Also, it's really important if you can, providing your scholar with headphones. It is a lot easier for them to utilize the headphones that they may use in everyday use in the classroom. So if they have their own personal headphones that they've been using throughout the year, we want to make sure that they have access to those. It makes it more comfortable for them when they're taking the assessment. And if headphones is something that you can't provide, then please let your school know and we'll make sure that scholars have those things if they need them. You also want to make sure that you do some practice tests with scholars, which is something that my colleagues are going to be going a little deeper into and showing you some examples of what that looks like. Because the more that you practice and the more that you discuss it with scholars, the more comfortable they become with the assessments. So we want to make sure that you're having conversations with them about it. It's okay, do your best, just give it a try. We want scholars to really show us what they know because it really truly does help us guide our instruction so that we're teaching them what they need and not just giving them information that they may not necessarily need. I'm going to transition over to Principal Johnson, who is going to take us a little deeper into the practice assessment so you can see what scholars actually see.
Good evening, everyone. I am Principal Johnson. I am principal at the elementary school. And so at this time, I'm going to go over some tips and some strategies that you can use with your scholar to support them with preparing for the SBA. At this time, Mrs. Green is going to click on the link. We will also place the link in the chat for you. From here, you're going to go to practice and training tests. Everything is set up for you, so you just want to make sure both the guest user and guest session say on, and then you're going to sign in. I am going to select a 4th grade test because that is the grade level that I'm going to share with you all this evening. And then I'm going to press Smarter Balance Practice Test. And I am going to be looking at the reading or the ELA practice test. All right, so when scholars go to take the practice test and or the real test, they will see these options. So everything should say on. They're then going to press select, and then they're going to need to make sure that their sound and video playback is working. And then once they hear that, they'll say yes, they could hear it, and then they'll be able to start the test. So begin test now. So these are the same steps that you will follow when you go in or when your scholar goes in to practice the test, which mirrors what they'll do in April. All right, so what we see here for the reading assessment, on one side, we see a passage. And then on the other side, we see questions. And so some of the things that scholars are learning from their teachers and that they're practicing with their teachers include strategies like reading the questions first. Why is it important to read the questions first? Because that helps a scholar to know what they're looking for when they actually read the assessment, or I'm sorry, when they read the passage. And so reading the questions, as they read those questions, they may go in and begin to highlight what the question is saying. So Ms. Green, if you'll scroll back up to the first question. So here we notice that the question is Matthew and his family go to the farmer's market regularly. But the main part here is pick 2 details from the passage that best support this inference. So if I was a scholar, I may underline or highlight, pick 2 details that best support this inference. And so now when they go to read the passage, and then they go back to answer this, they know exactly what they're looking for. And these things are also in bold for them. But, you know, it's just a good practice to really get scholars to look and really make sure that they understand what the question is asking. Once they have read the questions and the passage, they're then going to cite evidence. We are teaching our scholars in grades 3 through 8 to cite evidence. And so that simply means going in the text to now find you know, the answer, to look for the answer, to find something that's going to help them to make the best choice. Some answers for the reading assessment will ask scholars to explain their answer or to explain their thinking. And so again, teachers are working with scholars on how to write and how to utilize you know, their strategies during that part of the assessment. Mrs. Green just shared with us some of the additional tools that scholars have access to. So there's a drop-down box that shows a notepad. They can take notes in that section. The strike through button will allow them to strike through wrong answers. So to eliminate the wrong answers, to help them to get to the correct one. They also have the highlighting section, which will allow them to highlight evidence that they're citing throughout the passage, as well as highlighting what the question is really asking. At this time, Ms. Green, if we'll go back to the slideshow and the next slide. So here are some tips to support your scholar in reading. Encourage your child to read daily. And when we say read daily, we really want them to focus on reading various genres. So not just fiction, but also exposing them to nonfiction, exposing them to poetry, exposing them to various types of consumer text, various types of reading, so that when they are in the assessment, those types of texts are not new to them. But also when you're reading certain types of text, you're looking for certain information. So if I'm reading an informational text, I know that it's going to be teaching me something. I know that it's going to be providing me with some information. And so that's different than if I'm reading a fictional text, which is going to focus on characters and focus on a problem and a solution. And so really exposing scholars to various texts, making sure that they're reading those texts consistently is going to be important. We also want to remind scholars to read questions thoroughly to understand what is being asked, which is what we talked about. We also spoke about eliminating answers. Again, use of tools, highlight items, strike through items, the use of the notepad, and then also review the practice test with your scholar. So using the strategies that we are sharing here with you to review those, as Ms. Green said, they are getting that through practice, through IABs within their classroom, as well as additional practice sessions that we're doing. But working at home in a different setting is also going to assist scholars with being able to be their most confident and to do their best. And then last but not least, reviewing the test taking strategies with your scholars. Next slide. Dr.
Good
Jacoby.
evening. Oh. Good evening. I'm Heather Jacoby. I am the principal at Shamoki Academy Honors at the Harvard Conservatory, our arts themed middle school. And I am going to speak with you tonight about math tips. Principal Green, if you could click on the portal there. So in much the same way that we access the reading tests, you can access practice math tests. And I just want to highlight a few features of the math tests and some strategies for taking math tests. So you can pick a grade 5.
Start spring. And it's like Monday starts 15 to 20 on the thermometer. And then 47 in class 35 around
Any of the practice tests are fine. So these are options for those on the previous page were options for accommodations. All right, so we can click on begin test now. And the format is similar to the reading format in that there are 2 parts to what the scholar view is. The first is the graph. Sometimes it's an illustration, sometimes it's a table, and then the other is the actual question. If you click on the 3 little lines in the circle, that gives you options for a tutorial, marking for review, using the notepad, and highlighting, which are similar tools as were found in the reading section. All right, Principal Green, you can go back to the slideshow. All right, so families can support scholars by conveying positivity about math and math testing. So math anxiety is real. Being worried that you're not good at math is real. And so if we can convey positivity about math in general, as well as math testing, scholars are going to pick up what we're putting down. Remind scholars to complete the open answer questions first. So on the math assessment, there are some shorter answer math questions, which can be saved for the end because they can be completed more quickly. And there are open answer questions, which take a little bit more time. And so scholars should be practicing the strategy of attacking those open answer questions first, because then they can use whatever time they have left to budget. Remind your scholars to read questions thoroughly, to understand what is being asked, to eliminate answers, to eliminate distractors or incorrect answers, to use the tools, both the tools that are embedded in the assessment, as well as calculator for the sections where they're allowed to use the calculator, and scratch paper. There's some really interesting research right now about the difference in getting a 2 versus a 3 on the assessment just by using scratch paper. And so at HC, we have an incentive during testing season where scholars who use scratch paper sign their scratch paper and they're entered into a raffle. All right, so also remind your scholars to stick with the problem, maybe try it a different way. Common Core Math gives scholars lots and lots of ways to address math problems, to attack math problems, and so they have lots more strategies than they think they do. You can also play math games with your scholars and review the general test-taking strategies with your scholars, as well as the more specific math test-taking strategies. All right, we can go to the next slide. So this is a tips and resource page. There's a link here to the Connecticut Smarter Balanced Parent page. There are practice tests. There are testing tips from Learning Hero. And then at the very end, there are CSDE grade-specific test packets. Principal Green, could you click on that example link? So this is the grade 5 parent packet. And if you scroll down into this packet, it tells you, it gets like way into the weeds of what your scholars should have learned in grade 4 in math and ELA, what they are learning in grade 5 in ELA, how you can help your child specifically in math, specifically in in ELA. So I found these packets to be particularly helpful. We sent them home with scholars last week, but you have this digital access to them as well.
Thank you. And just a few final reminders. When we did our presentation, we did provide a little quick reminder guide, which we can definitely share with families that are present tonight, as well as families who did not get this yet. We'll be sending something like this home that you can just stick right onto your refrigerator, a flyer for you to hang up to remind you of things like the schedule, right? The practice test. There is a QR code here that will take you and give you access directly to the information that we have related to getting to the link for the parent links and the practice tests and things like that. It's also important to continue to encourage attendance, right? So we do set up our schedules, which each building will be sharing that detailed schedule out to you closer to testing. So you'll know exactly which days we are doing which assessments. And of course, we want scholars at school every day. We understand that things happen, but please, please, please communicate with the school to the best of your ability if anything is coming up. And that way we can plan accordingly to ensure that we give that scholar that makeup session time to make sure that they're getting ample time to work on their assessments and not let them have any testing anxiety or stress over the fact that they may have to be out for some reason. So again, we'll also share as part of what we have here, it has the phone number to reach out to us directly because we're here as a support. If you have any questions, if something's happening, if you're not able to access something, please, please, please reach out to us. And we will definitely support you to make sure that we're all on the same page and giving our scholars everything that they need.
So that does conclude our presentation. If there are any questions, please feel free to jot them in the chat, and we will try our best to answer them.
To all of our principals, I do want to say thank you to Principal Green, Principal Johnson, and Dr. Jacoby. We truly appreciate your sharing these test-taking tips and strategies to encourage our scholars' successful outcomes on the upcoming Smarter Balanced Assessment. I will ask that as we are waiting for parents to ask possible questions based on your presentation, but ask that you consider sharing any updates that you might have from your school campuses. We do still have people signing in right now. And so what I've been doing in the chat box is asking parents to please enter their emails. And what we will do is we will send a direct link of tonight's presentation to them so that they can see it. And then I'm also going to work with the communications department to ensure that we post a link for a defined amount of time and call our parents' attention to that particular link so they can access tonight as well. So while we're waiting on that and waiting for parents to send their emails in the chat box, if you want to just take a moment to kind of go around to each campus, if there's something you want to highlight, please do that.
Sure, I'll start. This is Principal Johnson again. This week, as families do know, we have our report card conferences that is across the district. And so Wednesday, tomorrow is a half day. We will have conferences from 1:30 until 4:30. And then on Thursday from 4:30 till 7 p.m. And also during this time, we also have our Scholastic Book Fair that is open. We purposely open it during the week, knowing that families may be in the building. And so please make sure that you stop by before and after school, but also during your conference time is a great way to put a book into your scholars' hands and to really promote reading. And so we do have that available for families this week as well. And scholars can also bring in funds to purchase books during the school day. So those are the two updates that I have at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. And before we continue with the second campus, we did have one question. The question was, how do I access the practice test? I don't know if someone wants to cover that again, but please.
So yes, I did place the link in the chat. And so I can repost it there as well, just in case if someone is just coming in. But so if you look, I just posted it. So you can click on that link and follow the directions that we went through. It's pretty self-explanatory, but if you do need any supports or help with that, please reach out to your campus administrators, and we'll definitely support you with getting that practice. But the link is there, so if you want to copy that. We also, in the presentation that will be sent out, we do have it embedded into there as well.
Absolutely. I was going to second that, as well as the QR codes. So the QR codes that you see throughout the presentation, you can scan those with like the camera on your phone. It'll take you to the link, as well as when we do send you home, like a flyer like this QR code right here will also get you there. And last but not least, this presentation is available on our parent portal. So through the Jamoki website, you can get to the parent portal that has resources and curriculum and things like that. So this presentation will be accessible there as well.
Awesome. I think we've covered all the bases with making it accessible. And again, we are available if parents still are having issues getting to this material. We certainly will be responsive. So again, thank you for that. Let's go on with campus number 2, the second campus.
I can go. So like Principal Johnson already spoke to, conferences at the middle school level, it is scholar-led conferences. So I cannot stress the importance of family members getting out. I understand that sometimes with work schedules, a parent may not be able to come out, but this is an opportunity for an older sibling, a grandparent, an aunt, or an uncle, any family member or someone who they, have a relationship with, they definitely could join. They would be able to come and attend, because with a scholar-led conference, it's important that there's someone there for that scholar to present to. So we want to make sure that we stress the importance. Communication has been going home. Just reach out to your scholar's homeroom teacher via Parent Square, or a call to the school if necessary to arrange that. The conferences will be held tomorrow and Thursday evening. Again, if you can't make it this week, we can arrange something for next week. I really want to make sure that all my scholars get the opportunity to share, so please spread the word with that. And the other thing that I would like to touch upon would be attendance. As we know, school is better with scholars here. And I do want to share that for the month of March, the district has put an incentive in place for our schools, where we, show scholars our data and everything. We've actually highlighted March Madness. And I know at Josh Smart, the scholars have been really excited about it. Just looking at the bulletin board and seeing that we're, going against the other schools, we're competing, who's going to have the best attendance, like which bulletin board will win. I've had scholars today asking, when can I sign up for the basketball game? Because they're so engaged, thinking that we truly are competing, even though we're doing it for attendance. So again, if your scholar has to be out for any reason at all, we have attendance hotlines. Please communicate, call the office if you need to, send a text, send an email, whatever that might be. Just keep us in the loop so that we can best support scholars in their absence if it is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Green. We appreciate those updates from your campus. And I believe we have one additional campus left. And before we hear our last campus update, again, if you just joined us, please send us your email in the chat, and we will be sure to send you a link to tonight's presentation. And again, we will make the link available for a number of days after this evening's presentation, so that parents can access the information. All right, let's hear from our last campus.
Hi there, this is Heather Jacoby, the principal at JAW HC. As the other principals mentioned, we have conferences coming up this week. We also have scholar-led conferences. Our scholars have worked very hard to create those conference packets that they will be sharing with their families. They have been creating a portfolio of work and practicing. And so I hope you will come out to see them and engage with them in that process. Those are Wednesday afternoon and Thursday evening on HC's campus. There is a link on Parent Square to sign up for a slot. And if you need help with that, you can call the school directly, and Ms. Oak, the office manager, will assist you with that. We also have lots of incentives around smarter balance testing. So we have received lots of gift cards and passes to local organizations that will be available for raffles for scholars. There is a Do Now raffle. where scholars are doing smarter balance practiced every day in math. And those do nows are being entered into a raffle. There's the scratch paper raffle, and then there's also growth prizes. So there is a growth prize for the advisory that grows the most. And then there are growth prizes for individual scholars who have shown growth throughout the year in testing as well. And then the last thing I want to highlight is that we have a group of scholars who have engaged in a theater residency. And in early April, there will be a showcase performance at HC during the day that parents will be invited to. But that will also be recorded and shared with families afterwards. So look for more information about that as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jacoby. We appreciate those updates. And again, I believe this concludes our presentation for this month's monthly Minutes of Monroe. And we do appreciate all of our parents participating. And we look forward to next month and seeing you. And please encourage a fellow neighbor or another scholar's parent to join us, or someone considering coming to Jamoke Academy for the upcoming school year. We'd love to have them on to see what we're all about. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.